Hello, Nina Khrushcheva here in New York. I'm a Kreisky Forum Senior Fellow and curator on for program Russia on the World Stage. So this is about Russia. Since Russia and Ukraine occupies almost every headline around the world right now, we, the Kreisky Forum, decided that by now, after 3 months of a lot of conversation, it is really important to provide a little bit of an update and kind of an understanding. The situation is very fluid. Every conversation between the Russians and the Americans seemed to make the situation worse and not at all better. And conversations between Ukraine, USA, and NATO confirm the preparation of the war, that the war is imminent and it is coming. I thought it was important to remember, because that has been largely avoided in many conversations, actually most conversations, that when American press began the Russia kind of war against Ukraine rhetoric campaign in the fall, last fall, there were actually not much going on the Ukrainian-Russian border. Now, of course, it is different case because, of course, the Russians would react to the rhetoric. But at the time, it was confirmed by both the independent Ukrainian analysts and independent Russian analysts, military analysts, that not much, in fact, was going on. Even on December 30th, when President Putin and President Biden talked to clear the air, supposedly, and then the conversation was panned as a complete disaster, the Ukrainian Council on National Security and Defense said that they even then didn't see what's happening on the border as a preparation for invasion, though, of course, they were at the time already, Russia amassed 10,000 of troops, and Ukraine had tens of thousands of troops on their side of the border. And by then, of course, NATO, Great Britain, particularly the United States, supplied Ukraine with a lot of weapons and extra military assistance to protect themselves from the Russians. So it was explained. I guess what I'm trying to say that while all these events were in development, really any decent White House Kremlinologist should have known that the way Putin behaved, the way troops were posted, how and when they were posted, really was more of an information campaign, or was an information campaign with the warring tactics and completely not an invasion threat. Putin does not plan to invade, or so far has not planned to invade, although of course the heated rhetoric and dramatic increase in kind of insults on all sides certainly cannot exclude the possibility of a horrible fluke, and things can go very badly very quickly. But one of the things that we should remember, that when Putin does something, being a former KGB agent, he doesn't do it so public. So all of it was to bring attention to his concerns that now NATO is right on the border with Russia. He has been very adamant about it for decades, in fact, warning, especially in 2007 and 2008 in particular, when Ukraine and Georgia were promised to become NATO members, that one day that will create a giant problem and Russia would respond. So possibly we are at that day. So these are, of course, very heavy-handed tactics, no question. But after 20 years, we do know that Putin is Putin. What adds to Putin's dangerous game is also very dangerous game on the behalf of the United States and United States diplomats and United States media particularly that is a very dangerous behavior there, because the story is basically now reads as if the invasion is not potentially, but it's imminent, it's already happening, and basically we should be treating it this way. They were negotiating with the Russians supposedly for peace, but then would come out of every meeting and immediately threaten the Kremlin with sanctions, which really at the time when there were attempts to negotiate wouldn't solve anything, wouldn't help to solve anything. Putin, of course, should be informed of the consequences and is informed of the consequences, and the consequences should be very, very severe in case of war, but not when on one hand you're trying to do diplomacy, on the other hand, you're basically preventing any solutions to happen, because it's more threats and insults than anything else. And I have to say that citing to defend Ukraine's democracy is a very important case, but on the part of the United States, it does look quite hypocritical after the US shameful and completely inconsiderable withdrawal from Afghanistan last summer. It is almost, and actually almost certainly looks like the current administration is seeing their defense of Ukraine is an attempt to make up for that Afghanistan disaster. So that allows America to loudly scream about US democratic values. Also, US diplomatic team was involved in 2014 events around Russia's annexation of Crimea. It does seem also from their statements, they certainly tried to make up for that failure by very forceful action, very forceful rhetoric, and also potential actions in the future. So it appears that their diplomatic goal, in a sense, is to create an environment in which even there is no invasion, they would be a rhetoric of invasion, and it would be considered the same as invasion. We already hear this kind of rhetoric from the United States and from Great Britain, which follows the United States, kind of make up for its breakout of Europe. Of course, Russian current military exercises in Belarus and beyond, and those troops, tens of thousands that I mentioned on the border with Ukraine, certainly doesn't help much. This is not all smart moves on the Kremlin part, but as I said, Putin is Putin. And so what I fear is that the more hellish sanctions are promised to Russia, while there was no exact invasive actions, the tougher Russian posture would be in response. So it was kind of heartening that at least Josep Borrell said there wouldn't be any preventive sanctions. Putin's Russia certainly is a militant and authoritarian state. There's no question about it. But the more rhetoric of invasion, which is treated as rhetoric of invasion, which is treated as reality, will certainly make Putin's case the way he would see it even more proven, that he needs menacing behavior to be recognized, because he's not listened to in any way possible. So I guess my question for European colleagues is this: does Europe want a rogue state akin to, fully rogue state, akin to North Korea in its midst, in the middle of Europe, Putin acting entirely like Kim Jong-un? Or there is still, I believe, there is no better option than careful diplomacy still. And I hope this course of action will prevail. Thank you.